Hi again, my name is Liat from Jewish Interactive, and today we're going to be using e-textiles to make a flashing fire bag for Lag BaOmer. For this project, you will need a canvas bag, some coloured felt, conductive thread, a sewing kit, and the Lily Tiny, which we will use to make the lights flash on the fire. I have already sewn the fire onto my bag, and as you can see, I am using an embroidery hoop to help hold everything in place so that it's easier when I'm sewing to see where everything needs to go. The first thing you're going to need to do is work out how you want your LEDs laid out on your fire. The device that we're using for our bag today is called a LilyPad Tiny, and it looks like this. The LilyPad Tiny has got a plus and a minus on there for connecting to the battery, and it also has 4 numbers going alongside it from 0 to 3. Each of those numbers has a different effect on the LEDs, so you need to play around to work out which one you want to use. For my project today, I'm going to be connecting all of my LEDs to the number 1 on the Lily Tiny. The coin battery pack that we're using today has got 2 positive and 2 negative sides to it. It also has a switch for turning the LEDs on and off. Now for this project, we only need to connect 1 positive side to my Lily Tiny and the 2 negative sides to the LEDs. So for this project, I'm going to start by sewing on my plus side with just regular thread to hold it in place so I can start my project. Now that the 1 positive side of my battery is in place, I'm going to start sewing on my Lily Tiny. I'm going to be connecting the positive of the Lily Tiny to the positive of the battery. When sewing on electronics, it's really important to make sure that your thread stays straight. If it tangles underneath, you could short the circuit and your lights won't work. You also need to go through each ring on your Lily Tiny, on your LED, and on your battery 3 or 4 times to make sure that it's really tight so that the circuit will work. I have now connected the positive side of my Lily Tiny to the positive on the battery. The next thing we're going to do is to connect the negative from the Lily Tiny to the negative on the battery pack. Now that I have sewn on both the positive and negative sides of my battery, I'm going to be using alligator clips to test my LED. I have connected this white alligator clip to the negative of the battery on the other side, and the green one to the number 1 on the Lily Tiny, and that is connected to the positive on my LED. And as you can see, my red light is flashing nicely. Once you've connected the positive of the first LED to the number 1 on the Lily Tiny, you then need to connect that first positive to the second positive on the next LED, and so on and so forth until all the top row of your LEDs are nice and aligned. Next, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to be going at it backwards. We're going to start with the negative side of your battery pack, and we're going to connect it to the negative of that last LED, and then we're going to connect all the negatives and tie it off at the first one that we started with. You are going to need another long piece of conductive thread for this. Once all of your LEDs are lined up on the negative side as well, you can turn on the battery pack, and all 4 of your LEDs should be working. If your LEDs aren't working, it's possible that you've got a short in the circuitry at the back. Make sure that no lines are touching each other from the positive or the negative side. If you end up with a bit of a loop like I've got there, I've just put some sticky tape over the side and it'll stop it from shorting the circuit. I hope you enjoy using your light up bag for Lag BaOmer.